This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details. Game provided by Bethesda.
Hello everybody, my name is Gildart, and welcome back to another Pros vs. Cons mini-review. There are a few games that have just embedded themselves into my life. These are the games where I will just get excited for every new release. We all know about Dynasty Warriors, but there's also Shantae, The Legend of Zelda, Sonic, and of course, Elder Scrolls. Here's a fun little Gildart backstory tidbit for you. When I was around 16 and my parents were upgrading from the PS2, I sat down with my dad to do some research on whether the PS3 or the 360 was the best choice for the both of us. When we picked up the 360, it was kind of a gift for the family. There were 3 games that we picked up for it. My dad picked out Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, I picked out Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires, and the game we picked to share was the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Even though I was excited to experience Dynasty Warriors in a new generation of consoles, I sunk way more hours into Oblivion than I did Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires. It's still fun to go back to. If it weren't for the fact that it doesn't have any trophies on PS3, I would have gone for those after getting 100% of the achievements on Xbox. I did later try Morrowind and found that difficult to get into because of all of the quality of life enhancements Oblivion received, though I would say it was still enjoyable nonetheless. Then when Skyrim came out, I got lost in the Elder Scrolls world again, and again, and again. Okay, we own too many copies of Skyrim, but there was one game that I would say was my first time experiencing buyer's remorse, and that was the Elder Scrolls Online. This would honestly be the first time I dived into an MMO of this caliber. I had tried RuneScape once or twice, but I never really got into it. I was excited to see what an online Elder Scrolls game would be like after getting lost in the worlds of Oblivion and Skyrim. I bought the collector's edition on launch and was severely disappointed. I played maybe about 3 to 5 hours before shelving it. I just couldn't continue. Clunky controls and quests that seemed to be inconsequential were the main reason why I had to drop it. But my wife is also a huge Elder Scrolls fan, probably more so than me, so we wanted to try ESO together to see how it was. And after many patches and expansions, it was so much fun, even just to play by myself and grind up some levels while Chelsea wasn't available. So when I received an email for a review code of the Blackwood expansion, I couldn't say no. I received this email either the same day or the day after I uploaded my mini review of Samurai Warriors 5. I was planning to take a break from working on videos to relax and spend some time with my wife. But after finding out that this expansion story takes place 800 years before the story of Oblivion, one of my favorites in the franchise, I couldn't say no to Bethesda, who also provided me a copy of the collector's edition of the expansion. And it was still a great opportunity to spend some quality time with Chelsea. Seriously though, I can't thank Bethesda enough for giving me the opportunity to cover ESO on the channel. Since I didn't cover the base game yet on the channel, you can consider this a mini review for both the base game mechanics as well as some of the content that you get in the Blackwood expansion. But before we get into that, don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. No more delays, it's time to take a look at the Blackwood expansion for Elder Scrolls Online. Alright, ready, set, Pros. Starting out strong, we have to talk about how this game looks. I feel like Bethesda took all of the style and flair of Skyrim and brought it into a new world for Elder Scrolls Online. I have played in other areas of the map and other expansions, and I absolutely love it. But walking around Blackwood is just a treat. The marshy areas feel way more alive and thriving than it did in Oblivion. Sure, the colorful bloom of Oblivion holds a special place in my heart, but seeing the variety that Elder Scrolls Online has added to not only the creatures roaming around, but to the landscape and its foliage, it just makes me want to explore. I mean, I tackled the main storyline specifically for this mini review, but anytime I had to run to a quest marker, I always looked around to see if I could find any landmarks on the map on my way to where I was going. Most of the creatures and enemies you'll run into will also be unique to Blackwood too. This pretty well goes for every part of the map in ESO, making it that much more worth it to buy the expansions because it feels like you're getting a whole new game when you do. On top of the graphics, I I actually really enjoy the controls. It does take some time to get used to, especially if you jump in thinking it's going to play exactly like any other Elder Scrolls game, but once you've got the hang of things, you'll realize that they did a great job of consolidating all of the keyboard commands that you'd have from an MMO onto a controller. I imagine if I was playing this on PC, it would feel a bit more natural, but Chelsea and I have always played online games together on Xbox. Plus, they really like their achievements, so I think it'd be wrong to go with any other console. But seriously, I never felt like I was limited by these new controls. But now that we've got the basics of ESO out of the way with the looks and controls, let's talk about this expansion. Like I said before, the Blackwood expansion story takes place 800 years before the events of Oblivion. Starting out, it feels like you're just uncovering the details of some political conspiracies and assassinations, but as you go along, you start to peel back this cover-up and find out it's all connected to Mehrunes Dagon. I'm not going to give too much away, but just know that Chelsea and I were wanting to know what happens next. The story is really driven home by the characters involved though. Evely is your main companion and assistant throughout this journey. She found a book that seems to be a key in all that's happening and is trying to help out the people in power at Leowin. Specifically, you'll be dealing a lot with Rian, who is another great character. Essentially, there are government officials being found dead with parchments of paper that have the Black Hand of the Brotherhood next to them. You eventually find the base of the Dark Brotherhood and are introduced to Elam, who is another amazing character. The key to these great characters are their voice actors. Like, honestly, I would just not read the text so I could hear these guys talk to me.
If you chased after me because of something Council Van Dacia told you, well, he lied. If the Dark Brotherhood sets out to kill you, you're dead. We don't make mistakes. We don't fail. Not ever.
They were that good. There were only a few characters that I thought could have been casted better or maybe given a different direction with certain lines, but the lows of the story and characters are nowhere near the highs of it. Going back to something that goes for all of ESO is how great it is to play with friends. Chelsea and I were having a blast playing this together, and it just became something we looked forward to doing every night. There were a few times where I just wasn't recording gameplay footage because I just wanted to have fun with it. You can add people to your group so that you'll be in the same instance as each other, but you both have to talk to the same NPCs individually. This is good so that if one player goes on ahead a little bit, the other isn't going to miss out on the story beats. But you will fight the same enemies and bosses, so it makes it an overall better experience to play together. Even though we didn't get to experience too much of the Deadlands that would appear randomly on the map because the two of us weren't strong enough to take it on by ourselves. But that's all the positives I have so far. Now it's time for the wrath of the cons! So I'm going to start this off with the main thing that kind of hit me with this game. And you may have noticed it as well by watching some of the gameplay, but Elder Scrolls Online doesn't really feel like an Elder Scrolls game. Like I said before, I have sunk many a lifetime into Oblivion and Skyrim, not to mention the Fallout series. I know the basic mechanics and overall feel that these games should provide. The Elder Scrolls Online feels more like an MMO set in the Elder Scrolls world, rather than an Elder Scrolls game that happens to have been developed for online capabilities. You can't just loot, steal, and kill anyone you want. Those options still exist if you want them to, but the game has been built almost in a way to deter those kinds of players. You also have skills that are mapped to different parts of the controller. Magic skills will use some magicka, while physical attack skills will use fatigue. This in and of itself isn't a bad thing, but I found I enjoyed this game more when I started to really think about it being an MMO more than an Elder Scrolls game. Changing the perspective to a third-person view helped me a lot with that. I usually don't go third-person in Elder Scrolls games. In fact, I avoid it as much as possible, but ESO almost requires it with how different it feels. Something else that feels a little different from other Elder Scrolls games is the map. When you're looking at the overworld and even the greater world map, you're going to feel right at home. It's when you're in a city or a town that you'll find that the map leaves a bit to be desired. You see, there is a lot in these cities. It's an MMO that carries over a lot of the features and mechanics from Skyrim, the biggest being crafting. There are crafting hubs where you'll find a buttload of players just running around and using up the materials that they've gathered while questing. This isn't so bad, but if you're looking for something specific, or you just want to look a little deeper into what's available to you in this city, the map can be a little clunky, specifically in how you can't zoom in more. Often certain merchants, crafting areas, or key people will be lumped into one place. I think it would have been nicer to be able to zoom in really close to the map so that we can see the streets of the city. This would help the player know exactly where something is instead of the general area. I've also had this issue where my cursor will want to go somewhere completely different from where I'm telling it to go because there's another icon right next to it. I'm also going to complain about the game's compass. This is another thing that worked really well in the other games. Usually it would show you north, east, south, and west, along with the nearby landmarks as well as any waypoints or quest markers. That's still the case here, but it doesn't work as well in the context of an MMO. Some of the dungeons and caves are designed in a way where I will pull up the map multiple times to make sure I'm going in the right direction. This isn't quite as bad in a single player game, but in an MMO where the enemies respawn and can respawn exactly where you're standing, it can be a bit of a pickle sometimes. I think it would have been beneficial to have a mini-map. Maybe put that where the quest details are and have a hotkey option that allows you to see the quest details below the mini-map for a small period of time. Speaking of the compass, it would be nice to see where your group members are on it. There were many times where Chelsea and I would be taking different routes to get to the same place, and they may say, "I found a sky shard," and then I'd have to open up the map and look for the little icon to go find them. If they showed up on my compass, I wouldn't have this problem. This could also be worked into the mini-map as well. You could probably just get rid of the compass and have these different icons show on the edge of the mini-map until they actually are seen on it. The last complaint I'll make about the compass is how it shows every single quest that you have. Your active one is shown in white, while your inactive ones are shown as black icons. If you only have a few quests, that's not too bad, but when you have a lot, it can be a bit confusing. This is why I never picked up any of the side quests in Blackwood until I had completed the story. Not knowing if an icon was telling me to go to a different map or telling me to speak to an NPC that's actually in Blackwood was a little bit annoying. I actually got rid of a few quests just to make my compass look a little bit better. It would be great to implement a system that allows you to select which quests you want to appear on the map and compass as these black icons. That way I'd be able to set up all the ones I know I want to complete, and if I walk near the area involving one of those quests on my way to complete another one, I could kill two birds with one stone. But if I wanted to experience another quest from start to finish in one go, or I didn't want my quests from another area like Morrowind or elsewhere to appear on my compass, I could do that. Please, Bethesda, if you take anything away from this review, just do that one thing. In the end, both Chelsea and myself enjoyed our time with the Elder Scrolls Online Blackwood. There have been times where I just ignored the story of an Elder Scrolls game and dived deep into the open world exploration. But Blackwood is a great example of why I shouldn't be doing that. The story is incredibly gripping and kept me looking forward to playing it with my wife. And that's why the Elder Scrolls Online with the Blackwood expansion gets a thumbs up from me. Most of my complaints were not only about the base game, but they were more so about cosmetic choices with the UI. The whole map thing isn't super detrimental, and the compass points I made about being able to see inactive quests, getting lost in dungeons, and being able to see group members on it are really the only points that I would say would be a major improvement to the overall game. The feeling that this is more MMO than Elder Scrolls can be a barrier of entry for some, but once you get past that, this is a really fun experience. Going through the main story of Blackwood makes me really want to go back to the other expansions and base game story and experience all of those. I'm even taking the side quests more seriously thanks to this. Seriously though, get this game and expansion if you haven't already, especially if you are a fan of MMOs or Elder Scrolls.
Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching this mini review of the Elder Scrolls Online Blackwood. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe for more. Comment with your thoughts below and let me know which Elder Scrolls game was your first. I'd be really interested to hear if anybody started with Shadowkey. If you'd like to help support the channel and what I do here, you can join the guild just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join them at the end of every single video for just $1 a month. There's other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.